The British royal family, King Charles. Let me help clear up a confusion that refuses to die. Every time Americans hear king, many of the minds in the room go to George III, the powdered wig, the tea and stamp taxes, redcoats, tyranny, and that is a category error. King Charles is not King George, not constitutionally, not politically, not functionally. And if we care about thinking clearly, we must understand the difference. Here's the distinction. Head of state versus head of government. They are not the same thing. Head of government runs the machinery, policy, budgets, cabinet administration. That's the prime minister. That's the prime minister in Britain. That's where governing happens. The head of state represents continuity, tradition, diplomacy, legitimization, civilizational memory, and that's the crown. Charles does not govern Britain. He symbolizes Britain, and there's a huge difference. One exercises power. One personifies the polity. One runs the engine, one carries the flag. And that distinction matters because people mock monarchy as costume drama without understanding the institution. Royal visits, not tourism and medals. It's diplomacy, soft power, relationship infrastructure. It's an elite symbolic statecraft. Sometimes a monarch can open doors politicians just can't. Why? Because he isn't a political operative. He stands above the partisan trench warfare panels. He has value, even strategic value. Prime ministers, they come and go. Governments rise and fall. The crown remains. And in repeated games, continuity matters. Game theory, governors, not fairy tales. Now, some Americans say, we fought a revolution against kings. Yes, against a sovereign exercising imperial power against George. Not against the abstract idea of constitutional symbolism. Very different creature. George represented empire. Charles represents continuity. Don't confuse the wolf with the museum exhibit. And this is where old Edmund Burke enters the room. Burke understood something our age forgets. Institutions are not always irrational because they're old. Sometimes they're old because they solve problems. They effectively provide stability, legitimacy, continuity, a shared civic sense of identity, and that matters. Even if modern people laugh at the robes, we can respect objections many of us share. Inheritance, aristocracy, the lack of merit, a fair debate. But criticizing the institution honestly, don't attack Charles as if he signed the Stamp Act yesterday. That's historical cosplay. Here's our summary. The head of state symbolizes sovereignty. The head of government exercises power. If you miss that, you miss constitutional design. And if you miss constitutional design, you end up making ceremony for oppression. They're not the same thing. You confuse symbolism for domination. That is sloppy thinking. Our founders rebelled against centralized power, and now we have our separation of powers. They did not rebel against any understanding of institutions. There's a big difference. And understanding that difference is part of governing your own mind. Because, as always, the mind is the limiting factor. Superior Ade.